just how you feel. Well, this time love's for real. In time till we reveal a special love that's deep inside of us. We'll all reveal in time. I know just how you feel. Well, this time love's for real. In time till we reveal a special love that's deep inside of us. We'll all reveal in time. Very good morning, it's Manuel, the Black Pen. Haven't gone live in a minute. Hope all of you guys are good. I hope you are warm. If you're obviously living in South Africa, winter's obviously creeped in. Hope you guys are warm. I hope you guys are safe. I hope you guys are working hard. It's very, very important, especially if we're trying to uplift our economy, especially if you're trying to uplift your family. I hope you guys are still taking care of your health. I know in winter, some of us become bears and we start eating everything and we don't exercise at all. But please remember to take care of your health. That means eat responsibly. That means make sure that you're still moving around. For me, especially for those who are trying to lose weight, the key to losing weight is eating less and moving more. That's the hack. It's a very simple hack. Eat less and move more. This morning, I want to speak about a topic that's very, very close and sensitive to my heart. And that's the concept of Black people and the current state of affairs. And the fact that as much as I've suggested it, Black people don't want to move back to the villages. They don't want to move back to the townships. And they seem to struggle to uplift and change and develop their own spaces. I made a video, I think it was yesterday morning, about a tweet that I posted saying that it's interesting that Black South Africans like telling Zimbabweans to go back to where they come from and develop and fix their country. And yet a lot of those Black people don't want to move back to their provinces, to their towns, to develop and fix those spaces as well. Received a lot of backlash from that tweet, of course. It reminded me just of a lot of things. I've made a few videos in the past asking, are Black people naturally stupid? And at times when I look at the state of Black people in South Africa, when I look at the state of Black people on the continent, when I look at the state of Black people in diaspora around the world, and I still see that Black people seem to be at the bottom of the food chain, I can't help but ask if Black people are naturally, intrinsically inferior and stupid, and if there will ever be some type of assistance and revival of the Black nation. I've been doing a lot of work in the past couple of years trying to leave Blackness myself. It's a concept I've spoken about. It's a concept a lot of people don't quite understand. Along with the fact that I've left being Zulu. I belong to the Zulu tribe. I was born into the Zulu tribe. My family's lineage falls under the Zulu tribe, but I've decided in the last 2 years that I'm leaving being Zulu. That means I don't want to bow down to the king of the Zulus. I don't want to associate myself with being a part of the Zulu tribe. It does not mean for those who have said some really ridiculous, who have posted ridiculous comments, it does not mean that I'm forsaking the Zulu language. It's a language I have. It's the most spoken language in this country. Why would I throw it away? I am not British, but I speak English. I am not Afrikaans, but I speak Afrikaans. So it's very silly to throw away a language. A language is a tool of communication. However, when it comes to most other things that are Zulu, I have let go of them. Some of the good things, of course, I will obviously not let go of. Some of the music is amazing. Some of the lessons that I learned, the pride in self, the ability to defend yourself, respect, inhlonipho is fundamental. Zulu. And look, at the end of the day, I'm still, it's part of my lineage and my heritage. I just don't want to be associated. When people say, man, I'm Zulu, I'm a proud Zulu, I'll be like, well, I'm not that. I'm a Panellist, of course. I've been trying to leave Blackness. I'm struggling, of course, because as you can see, I'm a Black person. I'm when you look at census and tracking and demographics, I fall under Black African. But the reason I wanted to leave Blackness was obviously because I did not want to be associated with the people that are at the bottom of the food chain. I did not want, when people speak about how Blacks are poor and Blacks are struggling and Black families are broken, I did not want to be linked with that. I created the Buy Black movement. I've joined various groups that are pro-black. I've spoken to a lot of black leaders trying to find solutions for black people in particular. And over time, I realized that I think race politics is one of the things that's destructive on the planet. Understanding that race politics helped a lot of racial groups to uplift themselves. And for a lot of black people who are black conscious and who are truly black conscious, I think it's important that you keep fighting. You know, pick up the baton from where Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., Kwame Nkrumah, Stephen Bantu-Biko, Robert Sobukwe, Chris Hani, and all these guys where they left off. It's very important for you and your people. For me, I've had to look at myself. Look at my upbringing, which was middle class, relatively privileged. You know, I went to white schools. So a big chunk of how I was raised had to do with working with white people, having white friends, being educated by white teachers, and being helped by a lot of white people. I didn't grow up Ekasi. I left Ekasi when we were 5. I did not grow up in Makaya, even though I'd visit, you know, my extended family in Makaya. But my life has been relatively cosmopolitan. And when I look at the people that have added value in my life, some of them are white, some of them are black, some of them are Indian, here and there, some Taiwanese people as well. So it would be disingenuous of me to then just be like, white people are rubbish. I think also because I grew up in relatively white spaces, I got to face racism head on. A lot of black people, basemakasi, live a relatively black life. Uvuke kuseni ekasi and khona odaki everywhere. Behamba eskele, odaki, othisha bakho, odaki. Mawuye estolo, besides mhlawumbe ama-Pakistan, it's basically odaki. So some black people only see white people maybe on weekends when they go to town or end of the month. I was faced with white people everywhere. And because I played rugby, there was a lot of racism on the rugby field where white Afrikaners boys would want to tackle the moer out of you. And even when we had to shake hands after the games, they'd refuse to shake hands with us, the black boys. So I got to face racism head on. Some white kids that I thought were great, I'd hear them utter the word kafir somewhere. You know, and I want to mention that over the weekend, a boy at Michael House Boys College in Balkawan, KwaZulu, apparently called either 1 or 3 black boys from St. John's College from Johannesburg in Houghton, called them kafirs. And St. John's College took a hard stance to cancel games, you know, with the Michael House. I thought it was a very interesting story because I'm like, these kids are young. Where are they still learning and being taught about kafirs? I mean, Michael House is a full boarding school. There are no day scholars there. That means the kids that go to Michael House are boarders full out, just like Hilton College as well in the Midlands. Hilton is close to Pietermaritzburg somewhere. You know, which white families are still teaching kids kafirs? I mean, there are so many black kids today that don't know what a kafir is, that are not exposed to that term. That if you were to call them that, they wouldn't even understand what you mean. Who's still teaching their kids that? Anyways, I got sidetracked. So I got to face racism a lot. From students, from some of the teachers. I want to mention my old headmaster, Mr. Jan Tutoy, who I thought was an extreme racist, you know, and I didn't like him. You know, I thought he was a decent leader, but I don't like the way he treated even some of the good black kids like myself, because we were good blacks. You know, I was the type of black kid that white people loved because I spoke well, spoke good English, spoke good Afrikaans. I was good at rugby. I was amazing in the choir. I was a great student. And for a white person to still be racist after I've showed that I'm such a great coconut, it was just fucking disheartening, you know, and it added to my consciousness and my wokeness and my desire to want to change things. There were a whole lot of other racist schools, racist teachers at my school. Some of them were not really aware that they were racist, you know, someone like a Mr. Schmal, who was actually not intelligent at all. And I got to realize later that at some of these white schools, because black people believe that white schools are superior, there are a lot of idiotic white teachers there, you know, who are respected purely because they're white. You know, over time, because I'm smart, I got to realize that I'm smarter than the bulk of white kids, the bulk of white adults today, and not just in South Africa, but around the world. And I guess like a Kanye West, like a Trevor Noah, you realize that I'm actually a superior being. It's not just that I'm a superior black. I'm a superior being. I can go to China, to Japan, to Europe, to the Americas, and I can dominate the locals there. My mind is more advanced than theirs. Even physically, I can probably outrun them. I can probably outmuscle them. These are some of the reasons why I had to transcend race, because of my upbringing, because of my exposure, because of my role models. We'll speak about Elon Musk now, but if you look at someone like a Leonardo da Vinci, if you look at a Michelangelo, if you look at someone like a Hans Zimmer in music, in movies, if you look at people like Christopher Nolan, David Fincher, Skrillex, those of you who listen to that type of music. Eminem is a white person that I admire, even though I'm not a big fan of his music, but I admire how he moves and how he's mastered and been super obsessed with his craft, etc., etc. I had to transcend race, but I understand for a lot of black people, they don't have to, and that's fine. It's your lived reality. I'm obviously trying to find people like myself who have been raised differently, or even if you were raised ekasi or makai and you're like, I identify with this guy. He wants to look beyond race. And maybe Nelson Mandela didn't explain fully, because again, Nelson, like me, at some point ended up having a lot of white friends in the African National Congress, of course, but also when he left, a lot of the billionaires in this country wanted to associate with him, and they funded a lot of his initiatives, the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund being one of them. So for him to go out there and bash white people would not have made sense for him or people like him. Cyril Ramaphosa, who has come out, obviously, has worked with Glencore, and I don't know if there's going to be investigations of any bribery in South Africa linking Cyril Ramaphosa and Glencore and Optimum coal mine. It would be great. It would be nice to see Cyril step down. I don't think he's a great leader for South Africans. The masses, the black masses in particular, I don't think he's a great leader for white South Africans, even though they believed in him so much. Obviously, they hated Jacob Zuma. I don't think he's a great leader for Indian and other Asian South Africans and colored South Africans as well. I think South Africans deserve a better leader with a spine, whether they like him or not, but someone with a standpoint, someone who's willing to stand up for us, like a Vladimir Putin, like a Kim Jong-un, like a Donald Trump back then. And I guess Sleepy Joe Biden, even a Joe Biden has a stance in standing for Americans. I think that's very important. South Africans deserve that as a nation. We really, really do. So Cyril Ramaphosa, of course, has worked with a lot of white Afrikaans. I'm not sure so much about the Indian. Jacob Zuma was big with the Indians, the Sheikh family, the Reddy family, the Guptas, of course. I'm not sure how big Cyril Ramaphosa is with the Indians, but he's got a lot of white business partners and friends, so it wouldn't make sense for him as well to be like pro-black. Andile Mngxitama, of course, fights for pro-black. Julius Malema has obviously changed tune, understandably so, because he was pro-black, and when he got a lot of white friends and white partners, of course, the tune had to change. That's how it kind of works. You guys will call it being captured. It's not always about money. It's about some of your friends and some of your supporters changing. Some of the people who allow you to be like, dog, you can come and sleep at my space. Dog, if your kids need help, I'll sort them out. And you realize, I can't really bash these people. Julius Malema is obviously part of I don't know if it's the Pan-African Parliament or whatever it is. So he's making friends with a lot of African people there. That's why he's very big now on being Pan-Africanist and the removal of the borders. You won't understand it because you live in a township or you live in whatever neighborhood. You're not exposed to the rest of the people on the African continent. So when you've got a leader that's speaking like that, he's speaking from his experience and not yours. He's no longer representing you. Where at some point, like clowns, the EFF used to wear these red overalls and maid uniforms to represent the people. These people wear like really, really fancy foreign clothing. And they travel the continent and they travel the world. And that's why their music changes. All of a sudden, we are the world. We are the children. And you're like, hey man, this isn't the song we were singing, Mas. So people change, understandably. I've changed. I still care very, very deeply for black South Africans, especially the poorest of the poor, The bulk of them who are grossly undereducated and miseducated. By undereducated, I'm not just talking about basic education, grade 1 to grade 12. I'm talking about a lack of true education of how the world works, how politics works, how our families have been broken. Understanding why your father is not present in your life. Understanding why your mom is always angry, why your uncles are always drunk, why your older brother and your older cousins are always smoking in Yaupe somewhere, why your older sister is a graduate from a varsity or a technicon and yet they're staying at home doing nothing. Understanding why Pakistanis and Somalians own spaza shops and why Malawians and Mozambicans are the ones that are doing the buildings of rooms and stuff. Understanding how money works and why money is concentrated in white suburbs and why Cyril Ramaphosa lives in the suburbs with Fikile Mbalula and Obegicele. Like why? Why do we have load shedding? So there's a huge undereducation and then there's a huge miseducation. The miseducation is where you are intentionally misguided. Things like religion, turning the other cheek, understanding if Nelson Mandela was actually a hero or a villain, understanding that Nelson Mandela had a life before he came out of prison and that he stood for different ideals before he went into prison, and that he was a huge revolutionary, a very brave soldier and a fighter for the people. You know, and that when he came out, he was actually old and he made a lot of friends from other races and from other countries. And that's why he had a worldview and a non-racialist view. You know, I've tried with the little influence that I've had to try and get into the minds of black people so that they can uplift and empower themselves. The whole concept of empowerment is that once I empower you, I am no longer powerful. You are now strong as well. If I have all the money and I empower you financially, that means I'm giving you some money and I'm losing money. If I have all the knowledge as a teacher, as a lecturer, as a professor, and I impart that knowledge onto you, you now have the knowledge as well. And I'm no longer as powerful. So you don't need me as much. What happens when I give you money and I give you knowledge is that you no longer need to come to me for information and you no longer need to come and work for me because you've got your own money. And a lot of the people that rule the world, they hate that very much. They don't want to lose their power. If everyone was politically literate in this country, if everyone had a good education, if everyone was armed and had guns, you know, America's obviously discussing guns because of what happened at Uvalde with the killing of 19 people at a primary school, including 2 teachers. When you all have guns, when you all have the knowledge, when you all have the money, and you all have, you know, you no longer need to listen to Cyril. You don't need to listen to John Steenhuisen at the DA or even Julius Malema at the Economic Freedom Fighters. You'll start seeing Vladimir Putin in a different light because you're like, I think I can fight this guy and beat him. I think I've got more guns than him. I think I'm braver. I think I've got more knowledge. I think I can out-debate him, you know. We're seeing with the normal South African boys like Trevor Noah, how incredibly intelligent Trevor is. Trevor can probably debate any of the big politicians in America or around the world. And he's not even a politician. He's not even a highly educated guy. I don't know if he even went to tertiary. You know, these are people that have taken their power. You know, because one of the things I learned as well is freedom, Malcolm X speaks about this, freedom is not given. Freedom is taken. Another quote goes, if you're waiting for someone to free you, you are a slave. You know, freedom is taken. Leadership, true leadership is not given, it's taken. And knowledge and empowerment, you have to get that for yourself. Black South Africans are still waiting for white people to say sorry and white people to give them the land. But white people never came to this country and asked for land. They took it. And when the Pakistanis and the Somalians and the Ethiopians came into spaza shops, they didn't ask black people, oh, please, sir, may you please share with me. They came and they took. And we obviously saw the Somalians at Gqeberha and PE that they're now armed because they realized that we have to arm ourselves and be strong. You have to take because no one is coming to give it to you. No one. And I don't know if it was Umangaliso or Sobuwe who said, black man, you're on your own. He might have a book with that title. And it's true. You're on your own. And if you're waiting for Penwell to come and rescue you, I'm somewhere else. I'm in the suburbs working with different races who are trying to capture me because I'm a voice. They're trying to get me to help promote their products, their companies, their services, so that they can share some of that money with me, so that we can milk from you. It can be sneaker brands, it can be energy drinks, it can be you supporting certain musicians, it can be you buying from certain stores. That's how it works. And that's going to be my circle of influence. I'm going to be like, in my circle of influence, we've got zero unemployment. Everyone I'm friends with is working, is making money, is traveling the world. And obviously, because I'm a panelist and because I'm trying to attract other panelists, I'm trying to get people that are movers and shakers, that work hard, that aren't beggars, that aren't waiting for grants, so that I can say we're winning. Because I realized at some point that I can't save all blacks, and the bulk of blacks are undereducated and miseducated, and they worship politicians, and they worship celebrities, and they worship these other people who don't care about them, who are all about milking and exploiting them. I wanted something else, but I won't help you. I'm working on helping my friends. I want my friends to grow from small business owners to big business owners to owners of multinational businesses that operate across other continents, other countries in the world. That's what I'm aiming for. You're waiting for Trevor Noah to come back to South Africa and school you. Trevor's trying to become the greatest thing America has ever had. You're waiting for Elon Musk to come to South Africa and create jobs. Elon Musk is trying to become the greatest inventor and business owner and the wealthiest man of all time. He's not playing in your league. The best you can get from him is inspiration. Maybe read his story. Maybe copy him. Maybe travel abroad and go work with him somewhere. That's what you can get from him. But you're waiting for him to rescue you. He's not. He's really not. Cyril is not going to rescue you. Cyril and his group of friends Cyril was the chair of the BEE commission that they set up. Him and his friends have benefited from BEE, Black Economic Empowerment. They've become super rich overnight. And today, Tumamina, as president of this country, he and his friends, again, are trying to remove BEE requirements from tenders and other procurement. They are now saying it's unconstitutional. The same Cyril, he's setting up a council now to investigate that. It's hypocritical, it's pathetic, it's disgusting. And I'm trying my best to not catch feelings because I'm like, this is not my fight. This is not my fight. I'm a privileged black. I'm a non-racialist. I'm a panelist. Let me focus on my people. But I'm angry on behalf of the poor black masses because they're so fucked and they don't know what to do. So I'm struggling. I'm trying to get this pro-black thing out of my system. It doesn't help that on the virtual Mkhukhu we keep inviting Andile Mnetama, Mandisa Mashiho, we had Uveli Mpele, we've had Umkhulu, Unsengeza. We bring all these pro-black people, who they almost, they make you want to be pro-black again and fight for the black masses. But I'm like, nah, I'm not there. I need to focus on my people. I need to focus on my circle. People that are bashing me on social media can go die. People that are bashing me somewhere else, go ask your politicians that you vote for to help you. You pay tax, go ask Gwede Mantashe to help you. I'm not your fucking politician. I'm not your leader. But if you're in my WhatsApp group, we're almost at 200 members now. If you're in my WhatsApp group and you're paying 100 Rand a month, that means I can now serve you and I can give you advice and knowledge. If you're coming to my meetups, I'm starting to have meetups around Gauteng and the rest of the country. And we're meeting and we're exchanging information and we're networking. We can work. If you're following my YouTube and you subscribe and I get paid because you watch my content, if you've bought my books, if you book me for a consultation, we can talk. But if you're sitting somewhere far away and you're like, Panel, English, you and your English name, you're just out here bashing me. Man, I don't have time for you. And the day I fully sell out, fully let go of my blackness, fully let go of my being Zulu, and fully let go of being South African, I'm going to join the bigger tables that run the world. And I will be part of the people that exploit you. That's kind of how it works in the capitalist game. That's kind of how it works. You want to get to the highest table. That's why your Trevor Manuel can comfortably say they're no longer members of the ANC. He used the ANC as a stepping stone. And now he sits on higher tables. He no longer needs the ANC. Maybe the ANC needs him. They're like, oh, Trevor, please fund us. Please introduce us to your rich friends in the world. It's a stepping stone. Our Cyril are using the ANC as stepping stones to get to higher levels. Our Patrice Motsepe used the ANC as stepping stone. Patrice now is apolitical. That's why he can fund the EFF and fund the DA. And because I'm a businessman, I'm a capitalist. But his father, all the benefits came from the ANC. And there you are being a diehard ANC fan. You're so obsessed with Ikeza Chiefs. No, my father was a Chiefs. My uncle was the Pirates. Was the same Chiefs and Pirates that you support. The players there, they jump around different clubs. And they move out of the country. They're not loyal like you're loyal. The coaches jump around. They're not loyal. They're loyal to themselves and what they're trying to build. And there you are fighting for a club that doesn't even pay you. They don't pay you. But you're obsessed with defending them. You're willing to beat up other guys. Your politicians jump from ANC to COPE, to Ahang, to the EFF, to the Patriotic Alliance, to the DA, to whatever other fucking political party, because all they want is power and access to your tax money. You're the only idiot diehard there. Only. And so I speak about Trevor Manuel, I have to address this. So DJ Sbu issued an apology yesterday morning on the virtual Mkhukhu, on the Hustlers podcast, apologizing for Dr. JJ Tabane, who had accused Trevor Manuel of being one of the people behind the scenes to set up COPE, along with Tito Mboweni, he mentioned, along with Thabo Mbeki, ex-president. Obviously, the guys that were known were Umbazi Mashilowa and Terali Kota. Sbu apologized. He explained that, Trevor Manuel was suing the Hustlers podcast, the Hustlers Corner podcast, of which he's the owner. I don't own the Hustlers Corner. I joined and I just speak on it. We've set up the virtual Mkhukhu podcast on YouTube. Please go and subscribe. Go look up the virtual Mkhukhu on YouTube and please subscribe. I'm going to own that platform. Lapho ke baba khuma masimba kuphela. Khuma udoti uTrevor Manuel edawo nje bamba yona. So Sbu had to apologize because number one, the Hustlers Corner podcast is his. And he's got a certain brand that he's trying to protect there. And according to his legal representatives, they suggested that. Number two, DJ Sbu himself is a brand. He's done a lot for people and he continues to do a lot for people. But Sbu can only do those things because he is building more fire, because he's involved at Massive Metro, because he has other business interests and other music interests. He's an influencer. He's a brand. He's not like me. I'm controversial. I'm what's a good equivalent? I look up to rappers in America. Tupac, Rick Ross, Lil Wayne. I look up to the guys who say the shit. Kendrick Lamar. I look up to the guys who are not brand friendly. I want to teach you guys truth. I wanna be the guy who gets cancelled. Joe Rogan, Dave Chappelle, Kanye West. I want to be those guys. I'm not a DJ Sbu. I'm a huge fan of DJ Sbu, but I'm not DJ Sbu. I work with DJ Sbu, and as a good friend and mentor of mine, I have to try and protect him. The guy's put me on, man. No one out there is putting me on. He's putting me on. He didn't have to. He didn't need anything from me. He just admired me as a Grootman, being like, I like this kid. And I think he can add value to my life, and he put me on. In the same way, Rob Hersoff, as old school money, white guy, put me on. He didn't have to. There are other white people who are not putting me on. There are other black celebrities that are not putting me on. These guys are putting me on, and I appreciate it. But obviously, I'm very conscious of my mind because I don't want them to capture me. I can respect the Hustlers Corner because it's Sbu's platform. And I'll respect it as far as I can, but obviously I'll still speak my truth. But then I'll come here on Facebook, on my YouTube, on my TikTok, on my Instagram, and I'll fucking drop bombs like Afghanistan. Because this is me. And I'm not ready to sell out. And I'm not ready to make a lot of money at the expense of not educating people. The day I do, maybe I'll tell you. Maybe I'll tell you, maybe I won't. But at least you guys can always refer back to my old shit. When I was still a nobody, when I was still shooting videos with the wardrobe at the back off my phone and they aren't like fancy cameras and Panel arrived in a nice car. You guys can still refer back to like the old Nelson Mandela before prison. That'll be my contribution to you guys. And later on, when I'm sitting on the big tables and I'm exploiting you guys, you can be like, okay, Panel sold out. We need to fight him because he's now become part of the villains. But we're going back to the old nigger. The nigga who was actually trying to give us game, who was trying to put us on. So, shout out to Sbu for protecting the platform. I understand why a lot of you guys bashed him, because the whole point of the internet and mainstream media, the internet and social media is for us to have an alternative voice. I can't say what I'm saying now on SABC, on ENCA, on Newsroom Africa, on 702, on SAFM, on Metro. I can't say these things. There's like BCCSA and all these other fucking regulators that are captured by the politicians, by the big white rich funders, you know, by other people with agendas. There's no agenda here. There's no Johan Rupert here on my fucking Facebook. There's Mark Zuckerberg, of course, who cancels me every now and then. You know, I get blocked, of course. It's sad, but we keep fighting. That's why I'm on TikTok. That's why I'm on Instagram. That's why I'm on LinkedIn. That's why I'm on YouTube. Because I'm trying to find all these other platforms which if I get blocked here, maybe here the algorithm won't pick me up. If I get suspended here, maybe here on Twitter I can say this shit. Because I want to educate people, because I've learned some shit that other people haven't learned and I want to teach. Because I think that's what is needed for you guys to be uplifted. And I want you guys to lead in your spaces. I want you guys to fight in your spaces. I want you guys to educate and empower others in your spaces, because your politicians are not going to do it, guys. The business people are... Lo baba lo unama bus ekaslako. Le time lele nama taxi. Lo mama lo nama supermarket. She's all about making money off you. She might give back, of course. Lama time they sponsor ama team ebola. They sponsor itegi, you know, ama tournament. Some of these people obviously donate. You know, we appreciate. They do a lot for the communities. But fundamentally, rule number one, they need to maximize money. It's not about empowering you. They don't run non-profit organizations. And even non-profit organizations today are no longer about non-profit work. They're about milking money. And you guys are still lost. And Penuel, the black pen, is here to remind you to catch a fucking wake up. I want to colonize your minds, because I know once I colonize your minds and you listen to me, I will liberate you. And you will walk the earth like Avengers, like the 12 disciples, like some fucking, I don't know what it is, but like some part of some cool group out there that dominates the world. And we go out there and we win. And you go around to Hong Kong and Spain and Tokyo and Sydney and Rio de Janeiro and Buenos Aires and Puerto Rico and Toronto and Oslo and Wales, and you go to these places and you're finding panelists and they rule the fucking world. Trevor Noah finished a tour last week of Europe. He was in Denmark, he was in Norway, he was, I think, in Switzerland, he was in Germany, he was in Amsterdam, and he was wearing black at all his shows. I don't know Trevor Noah personally. I do know Sizwe Dlomo, who's very close mates with Trevor Noah. I don't know them. I don't know what they speak about. I don't know. But Trevor Noah was wearing black at all of those places. Like a true panelist. Like a true minimalist. Wearing black. You can go on his Instagram and check all the pictures, boy. That's panellism. And I want other panelists to dominate the world, wearing black and spreading the message and trying to make the world a better place. That's what I'm trying to do. Anyways, I wouldn't have apologized to Trevor Manuel. Trevor Manuel is actually a bully. I'm happy that Dr. JJ Taban is fighting back. You know, and these are fights between them. You know, they fighting their own battles. I don't want to be sucked into things I don't even have cash. You know, DJ Spoon's got cash that he has to protect. He's also not at that level that they at politically. So now he must lose money. And more fire must be cancelled so that he can stand in solidarity. Come on, guys. We must also try and think. Yes, he's been captured. Yes, he's trying to secure the bag. He's a businessman. It's what allows him to give back. It's what allows him to push more fire and be able to inspire other kids. That's his brand. Nami, like I said, one day I might sell out. I don't know. I hope not. I hope I can be as big as Joe Rogan and Dave Chappelle and still point a fucking middle finger to any politician and leader and say they can go fucking eat a dick. You know, I hope. But I understand that these things are not easy. Again, when you've made the right friends, if Stephen Sard of Aspen calls me into his home, I'll go. I love meeting people and success stories. And I befriend him. Jewish success business person, Aspen, he put on Dr. Judy Dlamini, who's married to Sizwe Ngasana. They own Future Nation Schools. She was the chairperson of Aspen at some point. Him and Gus Attridge owned, I don't know if it was Damlin or Varsity College, but they built it into a great business. He meets me, we chat, he explains the pharmaceutical business. He sponsors some of the trips I do around the country, educating people. All of a sudden, when you ask me about vaccines and COVID, now I'm touch and go. Look, guys, you should vaccinate, it's good, but look, maybe it's not. All of a sudden, my tune has changed. And that's what happens when you meet people and they're nice to you. And I'll be like, look, Stephen Saad is a great friend, and he does great work for the community, and he's donated to these people, and he's invested in these townships, but it's game over then. It's game over then. I hope I'll meet Johan Rupert. He's getting old. I really hope I meet him before he passes away, because he's such a huge figure in this country. Rob Harrisov used to work for Johan, so maybe at some point he can connect me to Johan. I'd love to sit with the Oppenheimer family. Nikki and the boys have not been interviewed as thoroughly. You guys don't know what the fuck they're up to. Johan Rupert gets bashed. Some of the other guys who are visible gets bashed. The Oppenheimer family normally doesn't catch it because they're not as out there. It would be nice to have a sit down with those guys. But obviously you sit with these people, they like you, and then you end up liking them. You're like, these are actually really cool people. They're full of shit. They're capitalists. They exploit the black masses. Of course, they have horrible legacies, but they're cool people. And they see me. I'm not some black boy, because I don't want to be a black boy who's just a fucking puppet who speaks on behalf of whites. I want to earn my respect. I want my opinion to carry weight. I want to tell them, I think you're talking shit. I think this is what blacks need. I'm going on a tangent, and I wanted to speak about black people and capitalism and the fact that you guys are being exploited. I've spoken before about human preservation farms, something like a game reserve for human beings. That means protecting human beings, protecting old civilizations. I've said before, I said this to Rob Harrisov, I've said this to other people as well. Capitalism doesn't work. The numbers don't add up. We're not going to be rich. We're not all going to be fine. South Africa is catching it now. We've got 74% youth unemployment, almost 50% general unemployment. So there are countries out there who have low unemployment. I just saw now that Japan is at 2.5% unemployment. One of my mentors, Ukandani Msibi, of 360, posted that. 2.5%. And one of my comments under that tweet was, in South Africa, the whites and the Asians have similar unemployment rates in this country. There are black groups in this country who have similar unemployment rates within their group. Not blacks as a whole, but within their group. There are families in this country where they have no unemployment. Me, my brother, my sister, my mom, my dad, my cousins, we all have jobs. So when they're like, blacks are unemployed, you're like, where? Because we all have jobs. So we're catching it as a country so that an American can have low unemployment, so that a China can have low unemployment. But sometimes the waves shift. What that means is if South Africa as a nation decided to begin working hard, exploit itself in terms of labor, where everyone is like, scrap the minimum wage, scrap some of the labor laws, let's put people to work. Let's underpay them, let's exploit them so that we can export to the rest of the world at very cheap. That's how China was built. That's how Vietnam, Malaysia, those how Singapore even, that's how some of these countries were built. Let's exploit our labor so that we can kill unemployment. And everyone in South Africa will have a job, even though it's a cheap paying job. And then we'll begin milking from other countries out there. And in those countries will have low unemployment, while we have zero unemployment. And that's what it will take. Someone like Adolf Hitler sent all the women home. He was like, send the women home, and then all the men will work. And then we'll give the women grants. The Muslim community in South Africa does a great job because the women don't work. They stay at home and they raise the kids. Some of the white people as well, the women are housewives and the men work. Even if the man is earning 20,000 a month, he's like, with this 20,000, I will take care of my woman and my kids. The woman is at home. She's taking care of the family. She works. She maybe has like a little online business, and that's fine. And the man gets to be the head of the house, and the woman is like, I'm here. The kids are always, we don't need a nanny. We don't need a maid. We don't need anything. I will do the laundry. I will clean the house. I will make sure my husband is well supported. It's a conversation that I think black people need to have, especially in an era where black men and black women are fighting. Human preservation farms, where, because capitalism, I think in this country only serves 30% of the population, the rest of the 70% needs to leave the cities. And it's controversial and I get bashed for it and people call me names. Why don't you leave? I won't leave because I'm smart, because I'm privileged, because I add value in the city. That's why I won't leave. This message is for people that come from townships and villages that are in Joburg, unemployed, poor, begging at robots, living in squatter camps, living on grants. That's who this is for. It's not for me. I've made it. I'm the guy that can go to America, to New York, because I have something of value to add. Trevor Noah doesn't need to be deported in America. Elon Musk, Patrick Soon-Shiong, they don't need to be deported because they add value there. Or Tusombedu. You don't. If you go there to go fucking beg, because that's the fight with illegal immigrants, right? It's people that come here and they live in squatter camps and they have no value to add. And then they end up being criminals and selling drugs and being prostitutes. Those people must fuck off home. That's the conversation. And when you tell people you guys need to go back to the villages, you get bashed. This is our country. You can't tell us. You must go back. You're fucked. You're fucked. So I wish I could get to a level where I can become like a dictator and forcefully. Apartheid. The Boers have gotten to me. Oh, you don't know. I'm the son of Eugene Blanche. Forcefully move some of these squatter dwelling blacks onto pieces of land, emakaya, on barren land, fence those places off, put security around there, and get those people to live a more subsistence life. That means they won't have the type of education that the rest of us have, because their education needs to be geared towards working the land and working the farms. Their education needs to be geared towards basic manufacturing, plumbing, electrical work, textiles, creating things, because nothing's working for them here. And their produce, their farm produce needs to be about feeding themselves. The things that they make, the benches and the chairs, and learning how to build a house and fix wiring, it must be for them to survive without needing money. And in those spaces, there will be no money. And in some of them, I don't even want technology. I don't want cell phones where they're constantly watching TikTok and social media and they're being indoctrinated that I need to wear these sneakers, I need to drive this car, I need to live in this neighborhood. And I force them to find their dignity back. Where like the Afrikaans people in Oranje, they are like, we are black people doing for ourselves. We grow our own food. We build our own homes with our own bare hands. We have found our dignity back. We can do for self. And once they have reached that level where they can do for self, then we look at, can you do extra? Can you grow extra food? And then we take that extra food because they do it for free, for no money, and we export it to the rest of the world because we're getting it for free. Do you guys manufacture extra benches and extra furniture and extra textiles? And we take that stuff we're getting for free and we export it to the world and we bring in that money and then we begin developing. For some of the other spaces, don't touch them. Leave them preserved. Don't bring technology. Because right now, being in a squatter camp is like being in a zoo. You see a lion and a tiger and monkeys in a zoo. They can't feed themselves. You put them in the wild, they'll die. They don't know how to hunt anymore. They don't know how to survive the terrain. That's black people in squatter camps and townships. And you're telling black people, go be wild animals and go find yourself. And they're saying, we don't want. We'd rather struggle in the squatter camps. We'd rather be beggars. We'd rather own grants. And I'm like, you've lost your mind. And you guys, unfortunately, it's fine to be a child. I'm an old man, but I want to be dependent on this person. You guys are dependent on a government and business that doesn't care about you. These are not leaders that care about empowering you so that one day you can graduate from being an adult who's a beggar to an adult who has skills and it can contribute and be like, Baba, I think I'm old enough to begin giving back to the family. Your leaders don't care about that. They need you to be as stupid and as independent, not independent, and as dependent, as stupid and as dependent and as scared of them as possible. They'll send the soldiers onto you. They'll send the police. They'll threaten you with the law. They'll threaten you with jail. They make sure that you don't get the right education and information. They make sure you can't travel freely around the country and the continent and the world. They need you to remain a child for as long as possible. Ubona umama omdala, ubaba omdala, ona 35 is waiting for government to give them a house, to feed them, to give them a grant, to tell them where to go. Umuntu omdala. There's no respect and no dignity there. You are a hollow human being. And I'm saying, send these motherfuckers back to the wild. One of the reasons I do admire the Afrikaners is because Afrikaners have learned to straddle two worlds, which is one of my life goals. One of them, because at some point I thought, fuck capitalism and fuck money. I want to completely live off grid and let go. And I did a lot of research and I realized, you know what, it's not sustainable. And for a person in my position, it's also not intelligent because I need to put in a lot of work, like Elon Musk, in moving humanity forward. So I mustn't run away from capitalism. Capitalism has a very huge role to play in the world. But I can't let go of this because this is where the bulk of human beings live. And this is what will protect you in future. White Afrikaans people live in the suburbs. They send their kids to good schools. And Afrikaans schools around the country are some of the best schools in South Africa and on the continent. Last I checked, Grey College in Bloemfontein, which is a public school, is the best school on the continent. Afrikaans schools generally are co-ed. Co-ed means that boys and girls study there together. So they send their kids to good schools. Some of them have really great jobs. You know, they don't own businesses like Christo Visa and Yanni Mouton. They work. You know, they're police officers, they're nurses, they're administrators, they work in a bank, they work in other big companies, mines, whatever the case may be. They work. They make money. Afrikaans people, Afrikaans men are maybe earning 50,000 Rand a month. Afrikaans women who work maybe earn 20,000 to 30,000 to 40,000 a month. They work and their kids go to good schools. But then this becomes the difference. Number one, after hours, their children are forced by the parents and by the schools. Some of the schools, the sports is compulsory. They're forced by the parents to play hard sports, which teach them teamwork. They teaches them communication. It teaches them how to deal with losing and failing. And it helps them create a healthy body. The boys play rugby. Rugby is a man's sport. It's a sport for manne, for die bulle. In rugby, you physically have to be strong, you have to be fast, and you're constantly in conflict, physical conflict with other men to develop yourself like a soldier. That's rugby. It's an amazing development sport for boys. The girls go and they play netball or they go and play hockey. They run, they sweat, they play in teams, and it builds them to be strong, and it's compulsory for the family after hours. On the weekend, a lot of these Afrikaans kids go to a farm. It's either a farm owned by the family or a farm owned by family friends. And on the farm, they go and they learn how to milk the cows. They go and they learn how to deal with the sheep and the pigs. They go and they ride tractors. Little Afrikaans boys who are 10 years old know how to drive a tractor. They know how to milk a cow. They're riding horses with no saddle. No saddle, barefoot. Little Afrikaans Yaku can even speak, depending on the province he's from, but because I'm from KwaZulu, can even speak Zulu. They've given him a name, Usipo. When they see this Afrikaans boy, hey Sipo unjani, and Usipo ngiyapila, ngiphuma edolobheni, ngiphuma esikolweni, vakashela umkhulu. Like, fuck, 10-year-old white boy speaks Zulu. They grooming themselves to be able to handle those harsh conditions. Outside of the farm, white Afrikaans people have got hobbies. They call them hobbies, but these are life skills. Where black people's hobbies are finding a piece of water, a river, a dam, even though, oh, Daki, don't swim, so they can put a camp chair. You guys have made Camp Master millions of rands buying their fucking camp chairs. And then I'm making SAP fucking wealthy. Tengutwala, ntengama camp chair, ntengama cooler box. And then in Dagwe. That's the hobby that black people have, going to drink. Here and there, they go and they watch soccer at a stadium. White Afrikaans people's hobbies are going fishing. On the weekend, they take their sons, sometimes their daughters. They go fishing and they teach their kids how to catch their own fish. And right there by the side of whatever piece of water they're on or they're at, they catch the fish, they learn how to gut the fish, and then they braai it right there. They bring their spices, their salt, and their whatever, their oil, and they bring charcoal, or they bring wood, and they teach their kids how to braai. You've just caught your own food. Forget Woolworths, forget Pick and Pay, forget ShopRite. Little Afrikaans boy who lives in the suburbs has just learned how to catch his own food, his fish, how to gut it, how to take pieces of wood and how to make a fire and how to make food of this thing and then how to eat it. And sometimes they have it at the roosterbrood, homemade baked bread that was maybe baked by their mom. And the Afrikaans girls are taught by their mothers how to cook and how to make food. So now you've got this Afrikaans girl who knows how to bake bread, and she's giving this bread to her father and her brother, who are going fishing, who are going to go and catch the stuff and then bring lekker bride fish for the family to eat. Along with hunting, they also then go and along with fishing, they also go hunting. Yes, they use guns. My father was a hunter. He took us hunting a few times. They used to do it at the Nobkiri. Induwe, we also used to have izinja, ama-ground. Izinja zokuzingela. Manza. So we learned how to catch rabbits, how to catch buck. Afrikaans people do that. They go hunting. And they teach their kids how to catch a wild animal. Shoot, of course. Another great skill, these white Afrikaans boys are learning how to shoot from a young age. They might be shooting a buck today, but if tomorrow war breaks out, they'll be able to fucking skit the swartes very easily from a distance. Black boys don't have a nopkiri, they don't have a shambok, never mind a gun. You guys don't even have basic weapons. The day you have to fight with an Afrikaans guy like it happened with the looting, they will snipe you from fucking 100 meters away. You don't even have a nopkiri, never mind a 9mm. They will snipe you. These kids, if you go to shooting ranges, Bafwetu, take time out and visit a shooting range. Don't go shoot. Maybe you can't afford it. It's fine. Just go visit and watch. And watch white Afrikaans timers bringing their 10-year-old boys to come fucking shoot. And watch how accurate these boys are shooting. And then look at your little fucking 10-year-old loser of a black child who's obsessed with Xbox and PlayStation and the iPad. And you're like, oh, my boy is so smart. He can use a cell phone. Miseducated. So these boys are learning how to shoot. They're learning how to hunt. And after they hunt again, they learn how to slaughter. Which they also do on the farm, by the way. They learn how to slaughter this animal that they've caught. And then they cut it into pieces. They learn how to, from this meat, make boerewors. They learn how to make mince because some of their family members have butcheries. They learn how to make steak. They learn how to make biltong, which is durable meat that you can eat over time. All of a sudden, they can have their own food. They know how to grow food on the farm. They know how to catch fish in the water. They know how to hunt wild animals. They've learned important skills. They hike. You see the khakis that they wear with their felt schooner or some of their boots. They hike. Some of these Afrikaans people, you see, they like orange. They're like a bit darker. Some of them, you don't even know if they're colored because they love being out there in nature, in the bush. Hello, van die veld. It's lekker tye met die manne. You're out there catching sun. They get sun. You guys can't talk about melanin. White Afrikaans boys are out there in the sun. If they're not swimming, because they're also big on swimming, something that you guys suck at, they swim, they go hiking, they go camping. When you can't imagine being out of your nice little warm home. White Afrikaans people in their beautiful homes that are better than yours, they go out there unprovoked to go and fucking sleep in the bush with a tent. They're learning life skills that if life ever kicks us sideways, we can sleep out in the open and learn how to make a fire. Wake up in the morning, put a tin there, boil some water, make some lekker fucking moer coffee with the milk from a cow, organic, whatever you guys call it. Lekker moer coffee made with a fire. And then you wake up and you hike and you go hunt and you go fishing and you learn how to shoot guns. That's why I love Afrikaans people. They still hold on to that essence of real life. And if you chase black people into the wilderness, well, obviously if you're privileged, you can just copy white Afrikaans people. Get your kids into these clubs where they're learning how to shoot, where they're swimming, where they're going hunting. Go and do that. Good mates of mine, Ubongani, Putwase Limpopo, who's currently working in Joburg and is building a home in Limpopo because he sees his future going back home. He hikes, he hunts, he fishes. He's a great example, and if those of you are interested, I can find his schedule. And every time he's going hiking, fishing, we can go with him. And you guys can begin learning these skills. My brother loves shooting guns very much. You know, so you can meet up with him. I can connect you with him. And every time he goes to the shooting range, go with him and learn how to shoot guns. These are the skills we meant to learn. So there's these channels on YouTube of these white guys who go into the wilderness on their own, and a lot of them are not real. It's a lie. They have a lot of help in the back, but it's great content and it's inspiring off-grid content. Living like our forefathers is very difficult. It's very difficult. The idea of going to Emakhaya and waking up in the morning and like my mother, umamsi, uhambe ekuseni yokhamanzi emfuleni ngebhakede and carry, is it 20 liters? I'm not 20 liters and 20 liters of water on your head for something maybe like 5 kilometers. Ukhamanzi emfuleni. Waking up in the morning, uyotheza inkuni, and you have to go in the dark because inkuni are needed in the morning to make fire for breakfast, to ukhanda umdokwe, or whatever the case may be. Uyotheza inkuni to go and collect firewood. Walking kilometers because trees don't grow overnight. So you might finish the firewood close by, then you have to begin traveling further to go and fetch firewood. Obviously, black people, I think, hadn't gotten to the point where they learned how to build their own plantations, like a sapi and a mondi paper, which you can grow your own trees for firewood. You don't have to go far. This is the coolness of farming. And it's also the coolness of plumbing. You don't have to fetch water from Mfule, and you can build pipes so that the water comes from the river straight into your house and you just open a tap. You know, understanding that when it gets dark, outside of having a fire, outside of a paraffin lamp, there's no light and you guys have to go to sleep. There's no electricity. There's no, obviously, load shedding and those things. You know, you have to raise your own livestock. You have to slaughter the chicken. You have to slaughter the goat or the sheep or the pig or the cow. And cows obviously also don't grow overnight, you know. When you ask little kids now, where does food come from? Oh, from Pick and Pay. You know, if you want a piece of steak, you walk into a Pick and Pay, you pay them some money, you come out. If you ask kid, where does bread come from? Oh, Albany comes from ShopRite. You just walk into ShopRite and you get a loaf of bread, versus the concept of growing wheat, farming chickens for eggs, you know, getting milk from cows and trying to mix these things together to bake your own bread or ukanda magwinya. Also, it's hard. It's hard. Living in Impilo Yasemakhaya is difficult. The one cool thing about it is there's a lot of exercise involved, especially with the walking up and down. So you shouldn't be fat because you're constantly moving up and down. You get a lot of vitamin D because you're constantly out in the sun. Those of you who have lived out there, Makhaya, will know that Connie clay, that's what Mama uses. It's normally like this red whatever clay. It contains a lot of zinc. And it's as good, if not better, than sunscreen, because sunscreen contains zinc. So that zinc can actually protect you out there. These are the things that capitalism won't teach you, because then you won't buy sunscreen, of course, you know. All the things that you need, that our people needed, that's why you still had yellow bones back then, because Babe Tobisa, this clay all over their body when they go out there. So there's a lot of exercising. There's a lot of being out in nature, so you won't be depressed. You won't be suicidal because you're connecting with nature and you're healthy. Walking barefoot. You don't have to stress about a 9 to 5, being stuck in traffic. You don't have to worry about buying the latest clothing because you wear basic clothing that you get. And for my human preservation farms, I'd like a lot of the people to be as naked as they can be daily. Good for your body, builds you strong, vitamin D, and you know. But it's tough. But a lot of us need to begin visiting these spaces at least 1 day, 2 days a week. If not, then maybe 4 days a month. At the end of the month, be like 4 days. I do this thing with Manuel where we go camping for 4 days. And in that camping, we hike, we go hunting, we go fishing, we go shooting guns. We're mostly naked. Yes, we put on clay or sunscreen, whatever the case may be. But we try and live with nature because we're trying to be strong. And we're trying to realize that we don't need to depend on Wi-Fi, the internet, cell phones. We don't need to depend on electricity. I'm comfortable in my home. So my mom and I do this thing. I live with my mother. My mom and I do this thing with the load shedding schedule. So we live in a small flat, so we don't need much power. We've got lamps, so we've got light. We've got mobile power banks for our phones to charge. I haven't bought a generator. It makes noise. I'm considering getting an inverter. I'll see. I think my brother's just gotten an inverter. We're pretty fine. And we haven't gone gas. I had a gas heater. I donated it. We're not, you know, we can get gas. It's fine. We can change to a gas stove and try and go off-grid-ish. But one of the cool things we've started doing is when we look at the load shedding schedule, because it's not too bad now, before we get load shed, we switch off everything. And maybe 15 minutes before the power comes off, we're already in that mode. You know, for some people, if you're like, you know, I'm going to sleep at like 7 as it gets dark, and that's fine. Along with minimalism, which is a principle of panellists, we need to begin recycling clothing, wear secondhand clothing. Take your extra money and invest it somewhere. Mark Zuckerberg wears the same stuff. Steve Jobs used to wear the same stuff. Albert Einstein. I don't know if Elon Musk is a minimalist. I'm a minimalist. So along with the clothing, which we're recycling, we need to become a diet minimalists. That means eating less so that your body doesn't rely on too much food. Eat only what is enough. As rich as you are, you don't have to be having big steaks and eating 4 meals a day. 2 meals is fine. Have a meal at 10, have a meal at 7, and make sure it's a small meal. Your body's fine. You'll see it's going to be good for you. It's a form of fasting. It will cleanse your body. You won't be sick. That's it. So we need to become minimalists in terms of diet. That means you're also going to save money because you're not buying groceries all the time. Then we need to become minimalists of travel and transport, especially with the petrol price constantly going up. So if the shop you buy from is 3 kilometers away, I think is a good measure. Why are you driving? You can walk there. You're getting exercise, you're getting sun, and you're saving money on fuel. And because you're not eating much anyways, you won't need to go to the shop to be buying food type of situation. So I think that's pretty cool. So save on that walk as much as you can, where you can. And then we need to become minimalists of energy. How can we conserve energy like our forefathers and be like, you know, because I've realized we've got load shedding, because electricity maybe is getting more expensive, we found ways in our homes to minimize our energy usage. Do we need to have the lights on everywhere? No. A lot of you don't know, but about 40% on average of everyone's electricity budget goes to the geyser. About 40%. So if you just switch off your geyser, find out how long it takes for your geyser to warm up. Understand the geyser is like a big kettle. So how long does it take that kettle to boil from when you switch on that geyser, when you switch on that big kettle? Maybe it takes an hour. Maybe it takes 2 hours. So that's when, if you guys are going to need water. For the rest of the time, have a small kettle that you boil for a cup of tea or you don't have to bath every day. These are the other things we don't know. We're removing natural oils and nutrients that are on our skin that protect us. Even in our hair, I used to have my dreadlocks. I only found out after I'd cut them off that you're not meant to wash your hair every day. You remove the oils. And when you remove the oils in your hair, then you have to buy oils and moisturizers for your hair. When you remove oils from your skin, then you have to buy moisturizer to replenish what you've removed. You don't have to bath every day. Our conversations we're meant to be having. You're meant to be clean, usule, especially the parts where you're sweating, etc. Your vital areas. But you boil in a small kettle. You don't have to boil the geyser. Boil in a small kettle, put it in a little dish. I bath in a small dish every now and then when I'm not showering and bathing. Small dish, usule the vital areas. A lot of us don't have to wash our legs daily. Come on. You don't have to wash your arms daily. You wash your hands, you wash your face, you wash your armpits, your private parts, your anus, of course. You know, maybe wash your feet, and then you're good. Save on your geyser. Minimize your energy usage, and you'll watch your electricity bill going down drastically. The things that chow electricity is your geyser, things that have an element. So a microwave, a kettle, a stove, an electric stove, and then your fridge, and then a heater, if you have a heater as well. So if you can cut down on some of those things, do you need to have the heater on the whole day? Maybe if you just close some of the windows and you wrap yourself in a blanket, you're good to go. You know, so we need to be smart and intentional about how we're living on this planet because we want to win. Panellists is about winning. Following me is about winning. The human preservation farms is a concept that I'm hoping to get capitalists to buy into because it's going to save capitalists a lot of tax. It means people are not getting grants. It's going to mean that desperate people are not committing crimes. So crime is going to go down. And it's going to ensure that if we can get these farms, these oranias, where black people live and they're forced to stay in there, they can create a lot of produce for us. They can become like fancy factories and farms for us. And then we must have a model, we must have a space on these farms where Kids who are naturally inquisitive can access the internet and Wi-Fi and books. And kids who are showing some type of innovation in the things that they build with their hands. We must be able to isolate and identify those kids and then take them out and then put them into capitalism. Because those are the kids that are then meant to be streamlined into becoming doctors, engineers, actuaries, inventors, etc. And then the rest of the bulk of the masses who don't want to study, who don't want to be inquisitive, who don't want to create stuff, they can at least live a dignified life, knowing that they can grow their own food, they can build their own homes, they're out there in nature, they don't need money for clothing, they don't need cars, but they are happy and at peace and they laugh every day and they're with their families, with their kids, happy, thriving. And then for those who feel they need to contribute to capitalism, they can do that. And for the capitalists, once you get retrenched, once your company has been destroyed and has gone bankrupt, you always know you can go to the human preservation farm. You don't need to be a beggar in the squatter camps there. You can go and live a dignified life somewhere else. I hope these are conversations that we'll continue having as a people in an age of wanting to win together. Yesterday I was in Roodepoort. I met some really, really great people. Quite excited. Last week I was in Braamfontein in Johannesburg. Tomorrow I am in Pretoria. It's fun. I'm excited. I'm hoping every 2 to 3 days of every week moving forward, I'm going to be traveling around Gauteng and then slowly traveling around the country to begin meeting with some of my Panellists, people that follow Panelism, and then meeting a lot of people who, you don't have to be a Panelist, who just love the stuff that I make on social media, who want to connect with me, ask me a lot of questions. Where I go and I meet people, a lot of cool people are showing up. So you get to meet other cool people. Some have businesses, you can collaborate with them. Maybe you're looking for a job, someone there's a business owner. You might find the love of your life there. You might find your next best friend there. So it's quite exciting for me what I've started doing, and I want to keep it going. You know, this is going to be my Jesus moment of finding my disciples and traveling the world and trying to impart knowledge and wisdom, with the hope that over time these sessions will get bigger and bigger until we need halls, and hopefully build up to a point where I can begin building my own churches in spaces and identify the leaders of those churches. Information education spaces where people come there to extract knowledge, share knowledge, network with other people, share resources, set up stock files, collaborate on good work that needs to be done so that we can build a better country for ourselves. I'm very excited. I hope you're excited along with me, and I look forward to meeting with you guys. Manuel the Black Pen. Manuel is God. Panelism is the answer. Love you guys very much. Don't forget to work hard. Don't forget to exercise hard. Read those books and upskill yourself knowledge-wise. Watch educational content. Spend more time with your family. Hugging them, kissing them. Impart knowledge onto your kids. Learn from your elders, your parents, and then teach them what you know as well. And let's repair our families. And let's repair our neighborhoods. Lead where you are. It's up to you to lead. They're not waiting for anyone else. They're waiting for you. I'm waiting for you. Love you guys very much. Cheers.